Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another Whiteboard Wednesday with Richard Pendry. Richard, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about vulnerability today, Gareth,
Wow.
which is part of the risk assessment process, which gets overlooked.
Well, how's that fit in with what you've spoken about before?
Well, the thing is, the way I've written this series of micro learning sessions is that we're following the actual security risk management process. So this is going to be episode 6. So in episode 1, just a brief recap. In episode 1, we did definitions. In episode 2, we did assets. We're going to be referencing assets today. 3 was the threat. Okay. I went off on a little bit of a tangent when we got to 3. 4 was situational awareness, how we can identify threat. And then last week we did the insider risk, which are, again, important. Now we get in a bit more back online with the actual security risk management process. So this is, vulnerability assessment is the third part, the third main pillar of the actual security risk management process.
All right, well, that makes more sense. Why is it important, though?
Well, but the thing is, when we look at this, you have to have a structured response to security. You have to have it. And I find as a consultant, and I'll go along to my various clients, and when I'm called in, I'll have a look at where they are. I'll take a snapshot. I'll do an assessment of where they are. And I'm amazed at some of the organizations, we're talking large organizations, that have no structured response to the dangers that they're facing on a daily basis. So what this and the rest of the series does, it gives you structure. It gives you structure. This course, when you put it together, you're having it for free, but in essence, I train this for a great deal of money.
All right. Well, let's get into the training.
So let's get your headphones on, get your cup of tea. Let's crack on. Oh, technical error. There we are. Whiteboard Wednesday. Now,
it proves it's live, eh, Richard?
Yeah, it's live, mate. Yeah. So as with always, I like to have a definition, for you to understand what vulnerability is. Vulnerability is any weakness or gap in a system, process, or structure that can be exploited by a threat. Knowing the vulnerabilities, knowing where the vulnerabilities are, helps you pinpoint exactly where an attacker, failure, or threat is most likely to succeed against your organization. Without having this knowledge, you may be investing in the wrong controls, the wrong mitigation, the wrong security systems, and you have the possibility of leaving the asset exposed to the dangers that are out there. Okay, so what we're going to look at, the following process that I put in place is as I mentioned to you previously. As I look at myself as first and foremost as a security manager, how do I go about securing things? And I am all for providing my students, my organizations that I work for, tangible ways of being able to apply the knowledge of security risk management. So this is one of my system applications, which can be used to ensure that the things that you're trying to protect, the assets which are valuable to your organization, are secured as best as you can. Okay, so let's have a look. Now, I've heard it said, and it's really good actually, that the study of security risk management is, metaphorically speaking, the study of cheese and onion. Okay, cheese and onion. Now, On the right of the slide, you have a pot of gold. So I want you to think, metaphorically speaking, of course, what does that pot of gold represent? Any idea? I'm going to give you the answer in a second or two. Of course, it's the asset. The pot of gold is the asset, the important thing that your business needs to secure. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a slice of cheese. But it's not just any old cheese, it's Swiss cheese. And Swiss cheese has holes in it. So again, metaphorically speaking, what do you think the holes represent? Vulnerability. Okay, vulnerability. There's an arrow, and the arrow is pointing towards the pot of gold. Again, I'll ask you, what do you think the arrow represents? Threat. Okay, so the threat is trying to get through the vulnerabilities in the cheese and get to the pot of gold. But in between is an onion, and the onion has layers. What do the layers represent? Security layers, the mitigation that is in place. The more layers that you have, the harder it is for the threat to be realized, for the danger to actually impact on your asset. So let's go through the sequence. This is the sequence that we've managed through Whiteboard Wednesday all the way through the series. In episode 2, we spoke about assets. An asset is something valuable to your organization. It's what you're trying to protect. That's the first start of the security risk management process, the asset identification. The next thing you're doing is identifying the threats within the operational environment that may impact on the assets. Now, I'm hoping that within your organization, you would have some security measures, but it might not be so. You might be setting this up from scratch. You might be inheriting it, and there might be very little or nothing there. Okay, but we like to think that you're going to have some sort of security there. So what we're doing is we're assessing what you have there, the layers of the onion skin. Okay, as part of this vulnerability assessment. Now, all assets are vulnerable, and it depends on what they are, where they are, who can access them, and how attractive they are to outsiders or indeed insiders. And we also then look at the actual controls, the mitigation, the onion layers that you have in place. So as regards an assessment, when we're looking at a particular asset, we can use these 4 headings. Yeah, this is the metric that I use. So fail safe would be an asset with minimal risk exposure, protected by robust multi-layered protections, lots and lots of onion skin. We've got a low vulnerability, limited susceptibility. Security protocols are in place and considered to be effective. Okay, then we go down to orange. Noticeable moderate exposure. Basic or partial safeguards exist but open to potential manipulation. And then on the far right we have critical. Yeah, full exposure, very little or indeed nothing in place. For these, when you use these, okay, you use these 4 headings to be able to assess the vulnerability of the asset that you're looking at. Now, going back to episode 2, when we looked at assets, I gave you the ability to be able to identify the assets and to list them in an asset register dependent on their importance to the organization. And we listed them under critical assets, important assets, and low level assets. So what we're doing, if you've done it, and if you've done it properly, and you've got your the assets listed in criticality, okay, then it's going to be a lot easier to apply the assessment to them. Remember, critical assets, these are indispensable for the core functions of your business. Important assets are assets that are valuable and contribute significantly to business operations, but their loss would not immediately cripple the business. And then we got the lower assets, which would be an encumbrance if it happened, but you could get actually over it. So you're able to compare the criticality of your assets against the assessment on how vulnerable, how exposed they are to the threats. And this tool will save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, and can do a lot of money. Okay. Benefits: using the system will allow you to communicate the vulnerability a lot clearer to your senior management. It'll make your organization more resilient, reduce risk exposure, obviously improve security and better threat protection. Now, I hope you find that useful. Any questions? Put it in the comments below. We're live on LinkedIn.
The amusing thing is, by the end of this, I'm going to be a security expert. I'm learning more and more each time.
You will, yeah. And what we're doing is we're building on. Okay, so next week we'll be looking at and for this series, I think it's 10 or 11. We're looking at likelihood, then we look at impact, then we look at risk. Okay, and then we look at mitigation, and that's it. That's the whole lot. That is the first series complete. And as I mentioned previously, if you're part of the Security Institute, you want to get continued professional development points, email me on the email that's in there, and I'll send you a certificate. You get 1 point per episode. Points make prizes. Yeah, they all add up.
I believe what we're going to be doing also is isolating some short vertical vids out of this, just to give you just honed up points on each one. But if you want to watch the whole lot together, they'll all be available to you.
Yeah, they're on the YouTube channel. They're on the YouTube channel. Yeah, so please go on, like and subscribe and all that stuff. It's free learning for you. Please leave comments on how we can improve, if you liked it, what you didn't like about it. Yeah. Criticism is okay if it's constructive.
Exactly, indeed.
Yeah.
I wish you all very well. Look, thank you so much, Richard, for putting this together. I think it was needed. And to the rest of you out there, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and watch out for next week's episode 7. Thank you very much.
Stay low and move fast.
There you go. Bye-bye now.